Continuing today with the reviews of the old Steven Universe ongoing comic series, we have an interesting one today. I don't dislike it. I think there's a lot of great moments in here, but I have a few perhaps more negative than usual things to say about this one, depending on how you define negative. In this one, an incident while they're fixing the roof on Steven's house causes the Gems to reminisce about a time when they were building the house, where they're just getting started, and Greg says he'll be back tomorrow to see how things are going. And so the three of them get kind of anxious to do as much as possible. They want Steven to move in as quickly as they can, so they're trying to save as much time as possible, and in order to facilitate that, Garnet and Amethyst fuse into Sugilite. Keep in mind, this is set back when Steven was Babby Steven, so this is prior to Sugilite's one real appearance in the show. It's not like we're seeing Sugilite again. Coach Steven was when we were seeing Sugilite again. This was the first time, chronologically, if you accept this issue of the comic as canon. And while Sugilite's impressive power is ideal for clearing out the area for the house, when Sugilite and Pearl start working on assembling the house based on the plans they have, Sugilite gets impatient. She's not really delicate enough, so she keeps screwing up and going too quickly until she gets frustrated and throws a bit of a tantrum, and then splits back into Amethyst and Garnet, who are very embarrassed by their behavior, but they've ticked off Pearl, and now they're all at odds with each other. And it seems like they just kind of bum around on the beach until the literal next day when Greg shows up. And he realizes something's going on, because he's known them for a while at this point. He would know that their personalities clash from time to time, right? And so he goes to them and he fills the role, interestingly enough, he fills the role that Steven would years later, and brings them together and helps them to reconcile, with Garnet and Amethyst apologizing for getting overexcited and taking things too far. And so with some of the pressure taken off of them, the three are able to start working together again, and Garnet and Amethyst even fuse into Sugilite again, who this time takes things slower, listens to instructions, and uses her vast size to help build the house properly this time. And the flashback, as well as the present day stuff, both end on really pretty scenes of this Gem family sitting and watching the sunset after a hard day's work. It's just that the family's a little bit bigger in one of those panels. And it's cute. It's a cute little story about, I don't know, tempering expectations and not going too far with things and being patient and all that stuff. You know, a lot of the same stuff that Coach Steven was about. It was just framed differently. And that's my main issue with this episode. Like, yeah, Sugilite's motivations here are consistent with her motivations in Coach Steven. And she is a very impulsive person. And in both, she was doing this thing for Steven. In the flashback, she's building the house so Steven can move in quickly. And in Coach Steven, she was showing off her great physicality to Steven because he found it impressive. So it's not that Sugilite's character is technically inconsistent here. It's just Sugilite actually learned the lesson in this episode that she probably should have in Coach Steven. And she learned it before that. Which means, like, maybe, yeah, being a fusion, maybe she kind of revertigoed herself back to a previous state in her development. I could see fusions being like that sometimes, especially if the lesson they had to learn isn't necessarily one that their base components have to apply to their day-to-day. But one, that's not fun, that's not ideal. And two, unless there was some other more disastrous appearance of Sugilite between the flashback and Coach Steven, in Coach Steven, Pearl would have had no reason to be as apprehensive about Sugilite's appearance as she was, because their last interaction would have been this super productive and positive one. She might have reminded Garnet and Amethyst, hey, remember, last time you were Sugilite, you learned to take things slow and be patient and be careful. Remember that as you're fusing, but she wouldn't have been as upset about it as she was. That just doesn't make any sense. So as cute as this episode was, like, Steven was on point. Present day Steven and Babby Steven were both on point. in their cuteness. Steven making lemonade for the gems at the beginning was pretty cute, and his excitement over hearing a fusion story was cute. And there was nothing really objectionable about this story in a vacuum, of course. It was actually quite good. I feel like its inclusion in the canon actually negatively impacts the canon of the show. So I think this is the first issue of ongoing that I don't think we can consider canon to the show. I don't think we can fudge this one into the canon, satisfactorily at least. Which is really a shame, because Sugilite has so few appearances already. And I'm like, even including just mentions and stuff, they're super rare, right? It really sucks to feel like I need to exclude one of them. It's a bummer, man. All of that said, though, guys, what do you think of this issue of Steven Universe Ongoing? It's issue 19. If you have read it, let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, you might as well like the video, share it with anyone else who you think would enjoy my content, subscribe if you haven't. You can also check out links to my various social media, as well as many ways you can help out the channel. Those will be in the video description. But either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.